First, let's pay homage to the lineage gurus. Homage to the Venerable Monk Liao-Ming. Homage to Master Sakya Zheng-Kung. Homage to His Holiness the 16th Karmapa. And homage to Master Dukden Dorji. Homage to the three jewels of the altar. Homage to the main deity of the good practice tonight, the savior of the netherworld, Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva. Often during the Dharma practice, like in practicing Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva, wearing the 5 Buddha crown, with Buddha's light, Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva, Buddha's light radiating all over. The right hand is holding the staff to break open the gates to hells, and the left hand is holding the bright pole to radiate upon the 10 Dharma realms. And he is riding on Di Ting, just the listener, to provide salvation upon hearing suffering. The Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva with the greatest vow. So I often perform such visualization. So Danchen Kat, so Simu, Danchen Katsu, Dutan City, all Dharma masters, Dharma educators, Dharma teachers, Dharma lecturers, Dharma assistants, and directors of temples and chapters, and all disciples present here and over the internet. How do you do?
Hola amigo, que quiero mucho. Sukoin, Ichiba, Kimoji, Jumi, Yapi, Brin Brin, Konbanwa.
So today we had the practice of Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva, and I did explain how to describe Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva. Many bodhisattvas have their pets, and Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva's pet is called Di Ting, which is an animal, a beast who could listen with supernatural power. So this beast would be able to know all things that happen under the heaven. So by having this Di Ting as his pet, he doesn't have to move around, and he would know what's going on in the world. So that's the function of this beast. and his right pole, his right hand is holding a staff. In the past, a monk would have his own staff. It's one of the implement that they have to shake open the gates to hell. And his left hand is holding the bright pole. I often use the bright pole in my visualization. It flies through the sky and it's all radiant and descending, and I feel cool and clear all over my body, and it's for blessings. So he's not riding or seated on a lotus, but instead on this animal called Di Ting. Like the listener, we have explained about Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva many times. And Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva's spiritual center is the Mount Jiuhua. And the clear and cold mountain mentioned in the Sutra is Mount Wutai in Shanxi province. That was mentioned in the Sutras. And the others, like Mount Putuo in Zhejiang province, Mount Jiuhua in Anhui province, and Mount Ermei in Sichuan province, that belongs to Samantabhadra Bodhisattva, or the spiritual center of Samantabhadra Bodhisattva. And Mount Wutai is the spiritual center of Manjushri Bodhisattva. And Mount Buddhaloka is the spiritual center of Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva. And Mount Jiuhua is the spiritual center of Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva. They're all in China. So Mount Jiuhua in Anhui province is the spiritual center of Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva. And the pioneer, the first patriarch who opened the center, was called Jin Qiaojie, a monk from Korea. So it's an ordained monk from India, from Korea. And I just joke that he might be the ancestor of Kim Il-jung, the president. Because Kim is a very popular last name in Korea. Like the major family names in Chinese, Chen, Chen, Chen and Lin would occupy half of the Chinese. So the brother masters were all Chen, and Lin is also a major last name. But like Grandmaster Lu is most, it's not that many, it's less. So people with last names Chen and Lin occupy half of the Chinese, or China then. So Chen and Lin are the most. And in Korea, Kim is most popular.
他开创这个地藏王菩萨的道场，那很多的这个传说，地藏王菩萨。
So he established the Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva spiritual center.
我只去来一个
Of the 4 Buddhist mountains in China, I only went to Mount Wutai, the Manjushri Bodhisattva's center.
我神行的时候都有去过。
But in my out-of-body travel or soul travel, I have visited the others too.
那么在说法开始之前呢
And before the Dharma teaching, I would first like to share a few jokes.
这里讲的是一个游客包了一部计程车出游。
Talking about
他拍拍司机的
a customer
想问一件事，没想到司机吓得
that get
跳了起来。
a bus, a tour bus, and then he tapped on the shoulder of the driver, and the driver jumped in surprise, and then he said, "Oh, sorry about that," and the driver said, "No problem. Just a small misunderstanding." Because I just started driving, actually a taxi. Only recently, in the past, I was driving the funeral cars. Of course, as a driver of the funeral cars, it would be very shocking to have someone tap on your shoulder. A Chang told his friend, "I want to get divorced. My wife hasn't spoken to me in 2 months. Please think carefully," the friend said. Nowadays, it's really hard to find such a wife that doesn't speak for 2 months. Because most wives because they're always exercising their mouth. They would talk a lot. They can talk for 2 hours on the phone. In the past, they use phone, and now they use handphone. And then they said, "Oh, my hand is sore. Let me rest." And then they just place the phone on the table, and then they continue. If Grandmaster speaks on the phone, I will not talk for so long. I would only say the key points, and that's it. I will not talk too much. Just on the key things, important things. Other than the only time I talk for so long is when I give Dharma teaching, seated on the Dharma throne. The plane was flying calmly, and the pilot announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your pilot. Welcome on board." And I would like to tell you, oh my God. And then the announcement stopped. So all the passengers were scared that even the flight attendants. And it was complete silent in the cabin. And after a while, the pilot was on the speaker again. Ladies and gentlemen, sorry to shock you. Just now, when the flight attendant poured the coffee, and she poured it accidentally on my pants. If you don't believe it, you can come and take a look. It's wet. So one of the passengers were really angry. What's so big deal about your pants being wet? Why don't you come and look at my crotch? To look at my... So he peed in his pants. So now, back to the topic. Question and answer. Malaysia, 莲花小山. 小山 in Chinese sounds like a mistress.
你搞个小4小5都可以。怎么你叫莲花小山？
You know, in Chinese we call it mistresses, the third party. You can call yourself the fourth or the fifth, but not the third. Is this how you pronounce it? Wholeheartedly pay homage and gratitude to the lineage root Guru, His Holiness Infant Buddha Lu-Ling Shen. My family member has compulsive hoarding, so our house is in a great mess. There are piles of stuffs in each room, so mice are everywhere. We have lived in this condition for over 10 years. Recently, I work hard to change the situation, but my own effort is limited. I asked for help from other family members, but they either reject it or just help a little bit. So we are back to zero. Recently, I learned to practice Dharma, chant sutras and mantras, repent and dedicate the merits to remedy this situation. But I'm sorry that the altar at home is also in this chaotic and filthy environment. It's impossible to generate respect because I can't even have the most basic cleanliness. 1. I want to cultivate spiritually, but in this messy environment, how can I practice well? How do I make my mind to overcome the environment and not the environment overcoming my mind? First question. Second, I once heard Grandmaster said that Golden Mother told Grandmaster not to save people born in the 2nd and 11th lunar month because they have heavy karma and they are born to suffer in the human world. I was born in the 11th month, so am I hopeless? How do I transcend this kind of problems or karma? Okay, for the first one.
家里有没有囤积症的家人？
Any of you here have someone or a family member with compulsive hoarding?
家里放了很多瓶
They
罐罐，
they don't want to
旧报纸，
throw out anything.
还有
They
这
keep
个
all kinds of
旧
bottles
杂志、鞋
and
子、破鞋子，
containers,
他都舍不得丢掉，没有一
newspapers,
样东西他想
shoes,
丢掉的。
any old stuff. They don't want to
还有
throw
破
away
椅子、
anything,
破桌子，什么东西他都
like
捡回家。
broken chairs and
放在
tables.
家里，
They collect
连上床
them
的时候
all.
还要把他的那个
Even
床
when
都
they
全
get
部被
on bed,
东西堆满。
it
晚
was
上要睡觉要把东西
there
堆到
was
旁边，然后
piles
睡了一下子，
there were piles of
醒过
stuffs
来以
on
后
the
他
bed,
把东西再堆在床上，
and
连
before they
浴
get
缸
on
全部
bed,
堆满，
they have to make
浴缸
space,
全部堆满
and
瓶
the
瓶罐罐，
bathroom, the bathtub is
还有
filled
走路
with
要
stuff.
扫着走，因为我去
And
看
when
人家
you
的风水，
walk, you
他
have
的太太
to
出门啊是非常华丽的，又
avoid
庄严又美丽。到家
You
去
know,
看他的风
in
水
my
啊，
feng shui
天哪，
consultation, the wife, when she
奇
goes
张
out,
无比
she's
呀，
beautiful
破杂
and
志、破
attractive.
报纸、
But when
鞋
I
子，
went
什
to
么
their
都是乱
house,
丢的。
oh no, there are all kinds of stuff, shoes and
还有餐桌上
newspapers,
堆满了
everything. And on the dining
所有的东
table,
西，
there are lots of stuffs.
是有这样子的人。
There are people like that.
你们家里有没有的？
Any of you
我记得
with
我
compulsive
们西雅
hoarding?
图就有几个家庭是这样子，
I know in Seattle alone there are several
堆满
families
东
like
西，我去
that
看，
with
这样
lots
怎
of
么看风
stuffs.
水？
How can I check the feng shui this way?
我去他早期我有看风水，真的。
In
到他
early
家去，
times, I did give feng
西雅
shui
图有一个
consultation.
在税务局的一个马先生，请我到他家去看风水。
Mr. Ma,
他
who
出来
works
的
at
时
the
候也是
tax
西装笔挺，太太也
department,
是。
I went
太
to
太还听
his
说是
house, and he always
这
look
个
presentable when
贤
he
美
goes out, and his wife
贤美
too.
的小姐，
I heard that she's a
一进他的
beauty
家门， 几乎无路可
contest winner. But as soon as I got in the door, there was almost
全部
no
东西堆满，
space to walk on. Stuffs everywhere.
这个是囤积症。
So that's compulsive hoarding.
因为每样东西他都认为有用，
Because they think that
家里
it's
环境非常的脏，
everything
非常的
is useful. So
破
the
椅
house
子、破
is
桌子
very
啊，椅子剩下3个角，
chaotic, messy. Broken
他还放
chairs and tables, even with 3 legs, chairs with 3 legs, they still keep.
这个弟子住在这个房间，真的
So a
我是很同
disciple
情。
living in such
在那
situation,
坛城底下一定是堆
I'm
满，
very empathetic.
四周全部都堆满。
And of course on the altar too.
对了，我这个 Andy 啊 ，Andy 就是佛亲的先生的一个家人，
Andy,
的一
which
个
is
不是他
Forting's
的家人，是他的一个亲戚。
husband's relative.
还好他先生是一个医生，
Relative.
他是这样子的，
And his wife,
只要这个
no,
像那个大麦
his
的
wife
时
is a
候，
doctor.
你知道那个像 C 位某一种东西在大卖，
When they have a big sale, like say on Safeway,
也不一定有用，
they would
就
buy
是
them,
他在贱
even
价
if
在
they're
拍
not
卖的时
yes
候，他就去
useful.
把所有东西全部
So
都拿
when
回家。
anything is on sale, they would buy all of them.
然后呢，这位太太呢，到了 Bill Square
And this wife, at the Bellevue Square, anything is like 50% off or anything on discount, she would buy them all. So her husband especially bought a house for her to store all the stuffs. So he especially bought a house for his wife to store all the stuffs that she hoarded. They were all useless, whether they're food or drink or to wear, shopaholic. So anything on sale they would buy, even if they don't get to use them. So that's shopaholic. So at the end, they all garbage. So our disciples said, I want to cultivate spirituality, but in this messy environment, how do I make my mind overcome the environment and not the environment overcome my mind? You sit in front of the altar and you visualize the altar in the sky, and you yourself is also in the sky, above the clouds, beyond the heavens. Very nice and clean and clear sky. And the altar is set up there. And you practice on a cloud, seated on a cloud. So that's a way. There's nothing else because the family members did not help, and there's so many things at home, old newspapers, old magazines, and even when you walk, you have to kind of squeeze yourself in between. How about our dorms? Do we hoard things there? Are they tidy? That we cannot see anything. So, as a military man, when they have the patrol, like checking that on the bed, there should only be a pillow and a blanket folded very tidily, and underneath it is a basin and a pair of shoes. A basin with dental stuff, and you cannot put anything else on it. It's very tidy and clean. So the ordained people, any one of you has compulsive hoarding, dirty and messy in your room, clothes on the bed, no place to walk on, Master the way. You should check on the rooms. Check who has this hoarding habits. Or inside the fridge. Very messy and stinky. You need to clean up all the old and rotten things. So Master the Hui should do the checking, and should get rid of all useless stuffs. But the problem is they think they're all useful. But they think they are useful, but actually they are not. So things that you don't use now, you should put it on one side and organize it. I have seen it even among the disciples. It's really messy. All stuffs on the bed, clothes, piles of them, and at night they would put it aside, but then in the morning again. So for the dorms, you have to check underwears that's not washed, stinky socks and shoes. That's compulsive hoarding. So let me tell Lianhua Xiaoshan. So how do you practice in a messy environment? You visualize your altar to be beyond the heaven, and you sit on top of the clouds, and you start your practice. Then don't worry about this mess. I once heard Grandmaster said that people born the 2nd and 11th lunar month, Golden Mother told Grandmaster not to save them. Why? Mentally ill. According to my experience, for mentally ill people who were born in the 2nd or 11th month, they are hopeless. If I see people with the 2nd month or 11th month birthday, Golden Mother told me not to save them. They have heavy karma and they are born to suffer. It's hopeless to save them. Even if you save them, they cannot be saved. And also mentally ill people who have been ill for over 6 years, it's the same. Also, I was also told not to save them because their brain cells have died. Because they have heavy karma and they're born to suffer. I was born in the 11th month, so am I hopeless? But let me ask you, are you mentally ill? If you're not, then you don't need to worry. So of course, you have hope. You must not be mad or mentally ill because your question is rational or logical, I mean makes sense, but your name is Lianhua Xiaoshan. So that's not a problem for normal people. If you're mentally ill, then that's another case. Who knows? That maybe if you practice, then you will have attainment. But let me tell you, compulsive hoarding, that would be abnormal. See, someone bought a house just to store the stuffs that she hoarded, and they didn't live in it. So it's a relative of Andy's family. The doctor told me that he especially bought a house for his wife to store the stuffs that she hoarded. So we refer to her as a shopaholic. So she had to buy when she sees it. That's also a kind of illness. So that's my answers to Lianhua Xiaoshan from Malaysia. So if you're not mentally ill, there's no problem. Second question from Taiwan, Lianhua Zhihong. Okay, Master, I have some questions. I practice the 9 Phoenix filth elimination or defilements eradicating practice. Initially, I visualize them to be golden, but sometimes they become blue or other colors. Do these colors represent purification, enrichment, magnetization, or subjugation? Also, recently, when I visualized the 9 phoenixes, appearing from the Golden Mother in my brain, the single-headed Golden Mother of Phoenix became multi-headed. Does it mean that the 9 Phoenix want me to visualize them to have 9 heads? Or is it just my karma creating hindrances? Thank you, Grandmaster. Nine Phoenix Field Elimination Practice. The 9 Phoenix Field Elimination Ritual or mantra is 9 Phoenix soaring to destroy fields in all 10 directions, the golden youth in the front leading, and the jade maidens attending on the side. To pay homage to the Jade Emperor, all kinds of desecrations completely destroyed, as well as anything inauspicious. Your disciple earnestly pray to the 9 Phoenix Field Elimination General to descend from heaven. Spirits and evils perished. Celestial generals and officials come directly through the clouds. The stars move, the constellation revolves, marvelous ripples of the 3 lights. Command my talisman to purify the 10 directions. Under the decree of the Golden Mother, to please execute this command immediately. And this is the mudra. Outward clasps. And one of the pinky is upright. And the rest are horizontal. This is the 9 Phoenix Field Elimination Mudra. So initially I visualized them to be golden phoenix, but sometimes they become blue or other colors. Anybody that has seen a phoenix? Phoenix is a fable, a legend. There is no phoenix in the world. The same with dragon. Dragon is a myth. We cannot see them. So she visualized them to be golden and sometimes blue are the colors. Grandmaster, do these colors represent purification, enrichment, magnetization, or subjugation? The golden phoenix, that would be for enrichment. That's not right, because this is to eliminate filth or defilements. Golden phoenix. In this practice, do we have purification, enrichment, magnetization, and subjugation? No, it's not for those. So you should visualize them to be golden. If it's blue, then it would become a peacock. So if it's blue, that would be a peacock. You should visualize them to be golden. No purification, enrichment, magnetization, or subjugation. It's a special one to eliminate filth. Contaminants. So single-headed phoenix becomes multi-headed. So the 9 phoenix, they have 9 heads. So it's fine to visualize the phoenix to have 9 heads, but no purification, enrichment, renunciation, or subjugation. So 9 phoenix combined together, of course, then they have 9 heads. But does Golden Mother have 9 heads? Go ahead. Don't visualize Golden Mother to have 9 heads. Otherwise, people will start visualizing Grandmaster to have 9 heads. But frankly speaking, it is not easy to visualize. It is hard. Just visualization is hard. Why? We have to overcome it. It's also a kind of karma. Why is it like that? It's hard to say. In the past, when Grandmaster visualizing Golden Mother, and Golden Mother is not seated straight, but sideways. Please visualize her to be right in front of me. How come I visualize Golden Mother, but why is she looking sideways? She's ignoring me. And I asked, are you ignoring me? And then she turned her back to me. Really, she ignored me. Oh no, what should I do? I had to spend lots of time to turn her around. Sometimes visualizing the one image did not work, so I visualized another image or another one. And sometimes it's easy. As soon as I close my eyes, she appeared. But the real Golden Mother that I saw was straight. But the Golden Mother up here, she's always looking sideways. She doesn't like to see me. I know, perhaps there's some problem. That's why she is not looking at me. And then, after a while, she would look at me straight. Then, okay, that's fine now. So, this kind of things happen in visualization. But in any case, you have to visualize clearly that eventually you would be able to visualize properly. You have to train in visualization. It's really not easy. And spiritual cultivation is really not easy. So today we will talk about Vajra Chatika Prajnaparamita Sutra. Vajra Prajnaparamita Sutra. So Vajra is an ancient weapon in India, and Vajra is indestructible. This is Vajra. This is a weapon in ancient India. It is indestructible. Do you believe it? And you throw it to the wall. It stays. It doesn't break. And then you throw it on the ground. It doesn't break either. It stays like this. So this is a kind of weapon in ancient India. So it represents the Vajrayana. So we use this weapon to symbolize the indestructibility, and that's this Vajra Sutra. And it is indestructible, so what is it for? Is to destroy everything. And that is also the Vajra Sutra, Diamond Sutra. So Vajra is the indestructible wisdom to annihilate everything. It's a sutra of the wisdom of the indestructible Vajra. Prajna is wisdom to arrive at attainment. It's a sutra so it's called the Vajra Prajna Paramita Sutra. It's a very high attainment. So Paramita represents Mahayana. Paramita represents the unparalleled attainment. So this sutra is a sutra of the wisdom of the indestructible Vajra that annihilates everything and arrives at the unparalleled attainment. Now that's clear, right? Let me tell you, from this sutra, I related, or I thought of Kala Chakra. Kala Chakra, who transformed to be a Kala Chakra, that was Sakyamuni Buddha. In South India, at the auspicious rice gathering pagoda, Kala Chakra transmitted to the king of Shambhala, King Suchandra. And Kala Chakra, or the wheel of time, means the great wheel of time turns and nothing can avoid deterioration. Everything is destroyed. Everything deteriorates eventually. So houses, like Tantra Quarter, houses have a longer lifespan. Sometimes 100 years, 200, a few hundred years in ancient building, ancient castles. But will they eventually be destroyed? Oh, yes, because after a long period of time, they will be broken. So the wheel of time will destroy everything. So the wheel of time, the real meaning of Kala Chakra, or the wheel of time, is the great wheel of time. In the great wheel of time, everything will be broken. So houses will be broken. Human beings will be broken. How? Through time. You're born as a baby, and then child, youth, and middle age, old age, and then you die, and then you're destroyed. And what is it that make you destroyed? The wheel of time. Time. Amidst time,
们学这个物理，他有时候他会提到
we learn
7
physics,
亿年前地球呢已经转变了7次，也就是
700 million years ago, the Earth had gone through what's it called? Transformations. So the oceans become mountains, the mountains becomes oceans. Everything is destroyed. So amidst time, nothing exists. So Kala Chakra, or the wheel of time, also annihilates everything. Also remember, Bodhidharma went to Tibet and he became, and his name became Dampa Sangye. When he went to Tibet, his name became Dampa Sangye. And Dampa Sangye transmitted to Majik Lapdron a dharma called sacrificing the body. So it's a dharma to cut off, or cut through. So what is cutting through dharma, or dharma that cuts through? That's to destroy everything. So you cut your own head, or Japanese would use harakiri to cut their own stomachs. They have 3 knives, long one, medium, and the shortest one. And the shortest one is when they lose or fail, they would kill themselves by cutting their stomach. Harakiri. Harakiri.
Japan language. 我记得好像是闲不不。
I think it's called Shenbuku.
我搞不清楚了。
I don't remember.
以前父亲常常讲这个切腹自杀。
My dad often talk about that.
怎么发音
How do you say it?
我记得好像父亲讲了，我听了，现在忘掉了。
I remember my dad said it.
啊？贤不古？真的啊？
Is it really Shenbuku?
It's true? Not kidding. 贤不古。看嘛，我还记得我父亲常常讲。
So I still remember. I remember. It's called Shenbuku.
我父亲拿着家里的木剑，日本武士刀的木剑。
My dad would carry a very thick wooden sword and then beat me until the sword was broken.
师尊是铜骨铁身。
That's why Grandmaster had the bronze bones and iron body. And he beat me and the wooden swords was broken.
这个时间的纪轮那是断法。达摩只是传给马吉拉尊的，就断。
So that's the dharma of cutting through.
把自己完全
So Dampa Sangye transmitted to Majik Lapdron the severance practice. And then you offer your own body to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and sentient beings. So that's the spirit of forsaking and offering. So a spiritual cultivator has to have such spirits in order to have attainments. So in the exposition of the Vajra Sutra, you have to cut off thoughts of good and bad. Please don't keep them in the mind, whether it's good or bad, or big, middling, or small issues. You don't put any of them in your mind. Then you wipe out everything. It's just some people's small talk, and you're upset for 3 days. It's not worth it, because you're a spiritual cultivator. Don't throw all this garbage inside your body. Instead, you want to take out all the garbage from inside you. Money, career, romantic love, familiar love, all precious items, including your own bodies, all should be cleansed completely, should be thrown out completely. Only then that is Vajra Prajnaparamita Sutra. Now do you understand the sutra? So a statement to make you sad for a few days, just a small matter, and you don't come anymore. I won't go anymore. I don't want to be giving Dharma teaching anymore. I'm not happy. I'm not pleased. So would that do? Anything, everything is a good thing. I have said it. Everything is the best arrangement. So even the best arrangement, there's still a matter. So you have to even get rid of this, the best arrangement. So my exposition on Vajra Sutra is different. Even just the title, Vajra Prajnaparamita Sutra, I've talked about the title for so long, for a long time. So you chant every day, Vajra Prajnaparamita Sutra. Thus have I heard the setting of the ceremony. One time, the Buddha was at Jetavana Grove near the great city of Sravasti with an assembly of 1,250 monks. When it was time to make the alms round, the world-honored one donned his Sangati robe, took up his alms bowls, and entered Sravasti. Going from house to beg for food, after the alms round, he returned to the grove and ate his meal. He then put away his robe and bowl, washed his feet, prepared his seat, and sat down. Do you know what Vajra Prajnaparamita Sutra is? That's the wheel of time. It's the dharma of cutting off. It's to cut off everything. What is romantic love? That's SOB. That's only for a moment. At this moment, you have love. But once you die, what love would you have? So once you die, what kind of precious items do you have? What kind of houses and cars would you have? Once you die, you don't even have your physical bodies anymore. So in order for you to have an attainment, you have to get rid of even your whole even your own body completely. So career, love, fate, feng shui, astrology, the Buddha said those are all SOB. The Buddha dislikes all those stuffs. The one who knew feng shui was Sariputra, one of his greatest disciples, the one with the greatest wisdom. Because living in the world, you use the worldly dharma to help sentient beings. Actually, they are useless. So what time is it now? 10. It's about there. Wait. So today, I explain Vajra Prajna Paramita Sutra, and I explain it a little bit more clearly. It is related to the Dharma of the wheel of time. When the time passes, everything is gone. As the time passes, it is related to the severance practice, the practice of forsaking our bodies. When a person dies, everything is gone. Everything in the world is gone. When a person dies, everything in the world is gone. What kind of life, love is all gone. This is all roughly. What kind of piano and sakura. So Master Lian Qing is called piano, and Sakura is the Dharma educator, Lian Ying. Sakura, they're all gone. Sakura is gone. Roughly. Confucius was the first one that opened a mentoring or tutoring class, because he taught classes. So of course, he had tutoring classes. So this is also play of words of Chinese idioms. So it's a joke explanation of Chinese idioms. So knowledge is that the student asks and the teacher answers, and that becomes knowledge. So when you reach 50, you know about your destiny, but it explains us. If you pay $50, then you would know the questions of the exams. 60 is everything.
当然他这个是笑话了，这是笑话。
This is a joke, of course.
我讲到60而耳顺。
So at 60,
我父亲就是叫如耳顺。
Everything goes according to your wishes. So my dad's name is called Er-Sun, because when he was born, his father was 60 years old. So he was born, so his father's third wife gave birth to him. He was already 60 then. And then he had 6 wives, and I heard that he had even many more mistresses around.
外面还有好多，那是我妈妈讲的，妈妈讲给我，她有
My mom
6个老
told
婆，
me
然
this,
后外
that
面
he
还有
had 6 wives and many more outside.
所以我们这些后生小辈呀、应该
So
急起直
his
追了。
little descendant
这跟大家开玩笑的。
should follow the footsteps. It's just a joke.
这个讲一个健忘症的、健忘症的。
Let's talk about amnesia.
老婆讲，我想吃冰激凌。
The wife said, I want to eat ice cream. Please go downstairs and get some for me. They were watching TV upstairs. And the wife said, I want to eat ice cream. Please go downstairs and get me some. And please remember to put some strawberries on top.
放一颗草莓。
Please,
要不要
a
记
strawberry.
下来，免得你又忘掉
So
了。
do you want to write it down?
拜托，
Otherwise,
这么简单，不用
so
记。
that you don't
过来一
forget.
会儿，
And the
老
husband
公
said,
端来一碗
Such
面，
a simple thing. I
老
would
婆就很
remember.
生气，
And
不
then
是叫
after
你
a
说
while
要记
he
下来吗？
got back upstairs
我还
and
叫
brought
你
a
加一
bowl
个
of
蛋呢。
noodle. And the wife got really angry and said, What? Didn't I tell
因为
you
老婆也忘掉
to
她
add
叫
an egg on top of it? Because the wife also
她叫
forgot.
的是冰激凌，结果是一碗
She
面
asked
还
for
要加
ice
一个蛋。
cream, but it turned out to be a bowl of noodle, and she asked for the egg.
这个也是好笑。早上小明赖床，眼看
This is
上
funny.
学要迟到了，
In the morning,
老妈把
Xiaoming
被子
just
一掀，
stayed in bed,
随手
and it
用
was
力
almost
甩
late
了
for
他2个
school.
巴掌，在他的屁股上面。
And
小
mom
明，快给我起床！
slapped him on his
这个时候洗
behind
脸的时候，爸爸
and
就
called
跟
him,
小明讲
Come on, get up.
给你换个新妈妈好吗？
And at this
小明说不
time,
要，
Dad asked Xiaoming,
亲
Do you
妈妈
want a new
都把我
mom?
打成这样，换个后妈，我还能
And
够
Xiaoming
活
said,
吗？
No way. Even the old mom is
小明还是很聪明。
already beaten me like this, and a stepmom.
有
Oh,
一个笑话是这样子，
I wouldn't be able to
有一
live.
个诗人在海边呢，
I remember a joke, a poet
就对大海
on the
讲
beach looking at the waves and said, Ocean,
你真是我的妈妈，
you're my mom.
你真是我的妈妈。结果
Oh,
一
Ocean,
个
you
大
are
浪
my
打
mom.
过来，
And a huge
甩了他
wave
整个
slapped
脸
his
都
face,
全身都湿掉。
and he's all wet.
结果他想，
And then
哎
he
呀，
said, Oh,
难道
mom,
你是后娘吗？
I use a stepmom?
我妈那边没有。
Oh, money, pay me home.